and have the absolute privilege not only to command all the ships, the aircraft and the people that make up this strike group, but also the chance to host you here today in HMS Prince of Wales, the United Kingdom's flagship. But also with me as well is His Excellency Matthew Lodge, the Ambassador to Greece as well. So over about the next 5 to 10 minutes I can bring together Operation High Mast, which is our UK global deployment to the Indo-Pacific. But here we are here in Cdre Bay, which very much marks both almost the start of our deployment, but also the end. And without our time here in Cdre Bay, I'm absolutely convinced we would not have been able to achieve everything we've just done in the Indo-Pacific. So first of all, I would just like to offer my huge thank you both to Greece, to Crete and to Cdre Bay for all the incredible support we've had. Operation High Mast is the UK deployment over 8 months. It had 3 objectives. Number 1 is to declare full operating capability for our resurgent carrier strike capability since we retired our aircraft carriers and Harriers back in 2010. And here we are only days away from completing that journey. The second part was to demonstrate our firm and enduring commitment to NATO. You know, we've heard in our Strategic Defence Review that NATO first doesn't mean NATO only. And that brings me on to our third objective of the deployment, which is to show our enduring support to our partners in the Indo-Pacific, to a rules-based international system, but also to demonstrate that what happens in the Indo-Pacific is directly linked to activity in Europe as well. So over the past 7 months, we've spent 6 of those to the east of Suez, but we departed the United Kingdom on the 22nd of April, 197 days ago, and we have about 26 days left to go until we return back. It's been an 8-phase deployment, but as part of the deployment in the Carrier Strike Group is the international design of it. The strike group is made up of ships from both Norway, permanently with the group, but also Spain, Canada, Portugal, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, the Republic of Korea, to name just a few. And the size and shape of the strike group has changed throughout the deployment as ships have come and gone. But at the very heart of it has been HMS Prince of Wales, the aircraft carrier, our Type 45 destroyer, HMS Dauntless, who's on a berth just further up in the bay, our Type 23 frigate, HMS Richmond, our Royal Fleet Auxiliary ship, Tide Force, who's now here with us in Cdre Bay as well, but also Roald Amundsen, the Norwegian frigate, who has been by the side of HMS Prince of Wales throughout, again showing the commitment of European partners to such a global deployment. About 4,000 personnel make up the Carrier Strike Group, sailors, soldiers, marines and aviators, and of course a lot of aviators given the amount of aircraft we have. And then here in Prince of Wales you can see a flight deck full of jets and helicopters. Right now I've got 22 F-35s embarked, the final 2 arrive tomorrow, to bring me to that head mark number of 24 jets, as well as Merlin helicopters and Wildcat helicopters as well. I said it was an 8-phase deployment. Phase 1 in April-May was all about our time operating in the Mediterranean with NATO, for NATO, working with really close European partners in the region. That then prepared us to be ready to go into the Red Sea in Phase 2 and a transit of the Red Sea, and we all know that that's a volatile part of the world right now, although much less so in the last few months than it was about a year ago. I'm pleased to say we were able to successfully transit the Suez Canal, the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait without incident, and that took us into Phase 3, which really focused on India initially, and then our arrival in Singapore, where we worked closely with the Singaporean Navy, but also our first defence engagement, working closely with cross-government and industry and militaries as well. But simultaneously I had ships in Jakarta, in Indonesia, and then the whole group manoeuvred south of the equator and found itself off the north-west coast of Australia for a large exercise called Talisman Sabre, bringing together 19 different nations in the Indo-Pacific for a huge exercise, both in the maritime and in the air. We then moved into Phase 4, having visited Darwin in Northern Australia, great time for our people to visit Australia. And then we worked closely in the Philippine Sea with the US, Japan, Australia and New Zealand. And I think the highlight was when we were able to work closely with the Japanese helicopter carrier, Japanese ship Kaga, where we were able to take an F-35 from this carrier and land it on a Japanese ship, the first time in history. So a real pivotal moment as we worked closely with Japan as we transited up towards our mid-deployment port visit in Yokosuka. 3 weeks in Japan, another great opportunity for our sailors and soldiers and aviators to visit an incredible country and have some rest time. We then brought the Carrier Strike Group through the Sea of Japan, operations in the East and China Sea and the Yellow Sea, and operations through the South China Sea with HMS Richmond conducting a Taiwan Strait transit, and some of our ships demonstrating freedom of navigation assertion as they progressed back towards Singapore. Before we got to Singapore, we had the privilege to go and commemorate the previous HMS Prince of Wales, which was unfortunately sunk in 1941 in the Second World War. But unique in the fact that we were able to do that with our Japanese ship an escort, Japanese ship Akebono, and a shared commemoration of the loss of life on the 10th of December 1941 when HMS Prince of Wales and HMS Repulse were sunk. We partook in the Five Powers Defence Arrangement exercise Bersama Lima, working closely with Malaysia, Malaysia, Singapore, Australia and New Zealand, as well as the UK, and the first time we put a Carrier Strike Group into that exercise since 1997. And then as we brought the group back towards where we are now, we had port visits in India, working very closely with the Indian Strike Group as well, and Indian naval ship Vikrant, their new aircraft carrier. Another transit through the Red Sea, and again pleased to say that went without incident, and here we are now back in Suda Bay. But the criticality of being here in Suda Bay has been heavily about logistics, fuel, the ability to bring stores in here, aircraft to be able to use the airfield here, and for us to be able to engage closely with our Hellenic counterparts as well, which has been really quite powerful. We leave here tomorrow, we head towards Italy, a bilateral exercise with the Italian Navy and the Italian Air Force, where we'll demonstrate the full operating capability of our Carrier Strike Group. All the time though we'll be working for NATO, and that's really important. So my headquarters above me will be NATO, and that will be a multinational strike group working for NATO as we deliver our final capability headmark. And then we'll transit on our way home with the aim to be back into the UK in December and our Norwegian ship back home in Norway shortly after. And that will culminate 40,000 nautical miles of steaming. We'll have engaged with over 30 countries, integrated with 10 different nations' ships, and really advanced interoperability and capability. But really importantly for me is we brought the Carrier Strike Group back to the United Kingdom stronger than it departed, and that's for NATO and for our allies and partners in the region.